Hello everybody and welcome to Tier 1. It's round 6 of the RSL Season 4 season. We are here in Mexico for the Mexican Grand Prix, and it is looking like a very runaway championship indeed. Obviously last time out it was SLR Quattro to win yet again in his home Grand Prix, and obviously beat that infamous record of, as Two Magnus I think has spun out there on his outlap and retired. I'm going to have a look there now. Yep, he's hit the wall there and he has retired. That's not a great start for him, but it's an infamous return here. The first time we're ever going to race in the Mexican Grand Prix. SLR Quattro with 119 points, finished on the podium in every single race this season, and his worst finish this season has been second. 4 wins and 1 second place. Really is showing himself as one of the GOATs. SJR is behind him. He's behind him by an odd 54 points, but he's going to hope today that he can, or I think it's 64 points. He's going to hope today that it can be a little bit less than that as he starts the first lap of the Mexican Grand Prix. And look who is ahead of him. Oh, who was that ahead of him? That was Darva, and he's just in, and he has already ruined the lap of SJR, so that's his first lap pretty much null and void. So we'll ride on board then. 2 McLarens are reserving, Kofi and Oven Curry out. So SJR is going to come to the line now for the first lap of this race, and it's going to be a 1:17.0. Adjdox has invalidated. Next behind, VTR Cunio, who has the Haas of, I think that's Hayden, really close behind. But Cunio now is going to come to the line. He's not going to be as quick, and Hayden's going to go just a little bit quicker, but SLR Quattro still leads the way. Patish Hund has invalidated his lap. Ski Fan's only starting his, and then it's Jinx, who has set the fastest Sector 2, coming now through the stadium section. And Jinx with a 1:16.2 absolutely smacks the fastest lap, and JRR is not too far behind. Next, I think that is Arix Paolo, then coming round the final corner. He's going to set a 1:16.6. After that then SLR Quattro, and that is not the best time he would have liked so far. 1:16.8 puts him P4. Next to cross the line, Orcha, only starting his lap now. I think SJR is only a second down. I think he definitely has pace to show here later on in this race. We just haven't quite seen it yet. VTR Cunio I think has gone straight again. He's still burning that ERS, but is only barely up in his time. We can see what kind of time he'll make now through the final sector, and I think Hayden could have possibly went again as well. Obviously it is a track known for hard to heat up the tyres, and Cunio now is going to come. He is going to not improve. Hayden is going to come into the pits, and I think that is Ski Fan coming to the end of his lap, and it's not a bad lap from Ski Fan either, and he split the 2 championship rivals, if you can call them rivals, and has put himself in P5 with his teammate Patish Hund not too far behind. I think only other driver on a lap so far is back 2. I think Orcha could be at the end of one. think we'll see. He is invalidated, so no, it's literally just back 2, I think, at the moment. Only person on a lap. Everyone else kind of just starting their laps. Here comes Quattro, debuting here, joined late of last year, and is now starting his first lap. We then have Ajdox, the only McLaren remaining in this session, and then after that it's Darva, who hasn't had the brightest of start to things, but we'll see now. He's gonna start his flying lap. VTR Cunho, I think, is gonna finally call it quits and bring his car into the pit lane, and then we finally were waiting for back 2, who's gonna come round the final corner now, and he is gonna set his lap, which is gonna be a 1:17.5. Not too impressive, but at the same time not a bad lap at all. So CES is on an out lap. SJR behind him, and then behind them all the way it is Quattro. But I don't know what, I think Quattro could possibly be on a bit of a cool down lap as well. So then behind him Ajdox, and he's definitely on a flying lap. We're right on board with him now through the tricky sector 2, and see how we can manoeuvre these turns here through 10, 11, and now on the little kink on the way on the run down to 12 now into the stadium section. Seemed to keep it nice and clean there. The McLaren reserve was racing with AlphaTauri last year, started the season at Alpine, and is going to cross the line here. And Ajdox is going to put his car second fastest, not a bad lap at all. Darva next across the line, he goes 11th fastest, not a very impressive lap from him. Douglas had invalidated, so he isn't quite where you'd like to be. I'll see, just in case Jackie Gabbana still needs an invite to the session. So we're still waiting for a few more guys to set lap times, and CES Eric has a lot of hype around him and the pace that he has, and we'll see now what he can do as he comes to the end of his sector 2. A 57.2 is his sector 2 as he's heading to the stadium section now, a place where it'll be so easy to gain time towards the end of your lap, but at the start it is quite frustrating. But we'll see now as he comes to the line. Eric, where is he going to put his car? It's not a bad lap at all, and it's going to put him P4. Behind them, SLR Quattro, he is gaining. Quattro, P6. Or no, he was only starting his lap there. I look quite idiotic there. SJR is invalidated, so he hasn't had the best qualifying to start, as Ajdox has already got himself around nice and quickly. He got back in, and there seems to be a big traffic jam here almost, which ends with Rayan, and Rayan is going to come to the line and start only his lap now. Douglas is going to come to the line and he's going to put his car P8. We're waiting for the Ferrari of Jinx, who's already on pole and is only about to start his lap. I think Cunho is also kind of slowing down to start his lap. He's let, I think that was Paolo ahead of him. And then we wait for the Alfa Romeo's Skifan. He's coming to the line now, and he is only starting a lap, and I think the exact same for Patish Hund about to start his lap. As it seems that JRR has had a bit of trouble, or maybe he's just slowing down a bit here now down at turn 12. In front of him is SLR Quattro, who is coming to the end of his lap, and we'll see whether or not Quattro's improving a huge amount of oversteer. He's going to have to abandon that lap, and he's brought it into the pits, so not the way to finish his second run. We have SJR 2/10 up on his second run. Where will he put his car? He's put it all the way up into P2. A lot of time gained there in the final few sectors, or the final few corners, and SJR has put his car into P2. Orcha next across the line. Rayan is going to go second fastest and take that right off SJR, but now it's Jinx to the line. Is he going to be the first minute driver to go into the 115s? Yes, he is. A 115.9 to put his car further on provisional pole. As we watch other cars come to the line, but no one actually, I think, on a lap. I think Skifan's on a lap. He locked up there, so that's not quite what he wanted. Apatish Hund is pretty much matched his time in the middle sector, and he's going to have to gain a little bit more out of the final sector to improve. Apatish Hund does improve and goes P11. So coming to the end of his lap now, JRR is also 2/10 up, and this is the section of the track I told you that you're going to be able to gain time towards the end. If you just get it right, track evolution should suit you well. And JRR, tier 3 driver, comes to the line and is going to put his car back up into P4. Not a bad lap there. SJR, I think, is going to weave his car into the pit lane here. Don't think there's anyone on a lap at the moment. I think Quattro's still trying to set a lap. He's on a lap here at the moment. He's going through sector 2 and he's kept his lap nice and valid now, coming to the end of his middle sector. See now, oh, he hasn't validated, so that's going to be no use to him. Hadjdux here is, I think, the next driver on a lap. We can ride on board with him for a few minutes now to see what he has. He's only a little bit down on his time, and he kind of almost just drifts his car out of that corner and doesn't really seem to be in much control of it, and because of that now he's invalidated his lap. Hayden is barely up in his time. He's going to have to improve a lot more than that if he wants to get himself up into the top 11. 5/10 separate himself and Apatish Hund, and he is very, very far off the leaders. We'll see now as Hayden comes through the second sector and gets DRS activated. He's going to try getting a little bit of a slipstream here of Hadjdux, and he's going to come now into sector 3. I missed there how much he's improved by, but we'll see now, because all of it awaits now as he is going to cross the line here, come round the final corner. A real rough lap from the Haas driver is going to come to the line and only improves by 2/10. So definitely not enough. Jackie Gabbana on a lap at the moment, as everyone is starting now to leave the pit lane for their final runs. We can just see a few drivers there on that main straight on the mini track map there. We'll keep an eye here on Jackie Gabbana. Only drive one of himself and Quattro, obviously with 2 Magnus DNFing early in the session. He won't have much more, but them two the only guys not to set laps. It's Jackie Gabbana now absolutely pummels the curb, and he's gonna try and get himself through here. What can Jackie Gabbana put on the timesheet? It's a 1:18.3, a little bit slower than Cuneo, and enough to go ahead, pretty much stay where he originally was. So Hadjdux is on another lap, and he's again kind of just matched his time in the middle sector, and he's going to have to hope that he improves a lot here in the final sector in order to call this a very valid lap. Otherwise he'll probably just swing it back into the pits. We'll see now. Coming out of final corner, Hadjdux, is he going to set the lap? He looks like he is, as he comes out around the final corner. Hadjdux doesn't improve, and that's going to be the end of qualifying for him, more than likely, unless he can get it round really quickly, which I think is quite impossible. Right on board with SJR, who's 6/10 up. No, he's not. We'll see now as he comes to sector 1. He has pretty much matched his time, so he's going to need to do a lot better than that. Maybe might just be having a bit of a cool up lap, because really you can go with 2 runs in Mexico, because not only is it a hard track to gain ERS, but it's also really a hard track to use it, because at the end of your lap you still do have enough to probably go again, as SJR runs a bit wide there. It's not been the best of laps from him so far. Again, only matches time, but does go purple in the second sector. He's going to have to gain a lot more now, going through the stadium section now. We're going to see as SJR comes out of the stadium section and around the final corner. Has he got enough to improve and go on to provisional pole? SJR, it's going to be enough for the front row so far. Not a bad lap at all. He'd love to be on pole, but at the moment it looks like it's going to go the way of Jinx, unless someone can stop it. Crucially, the championship leader, SLR Quattro, is down in 8th place. And himself, I think, is about to leave the pit lane there now. I can see mechanics going, and I think that's his car there, just parking and letting way for the other cars to go through. And CES Eric now, he's going to start his final flying lap, and everyone is starting to come out for those final flying laps. Jinx, he is on a lap. The provisional pole sitter at the moment is going to have to improve a lot more if he wants to stay on pole for the race. We'll see now as he comes to the end of his Sector 1. Has he improved? He is just barely, and has set the fastest Sector 1 in doing so. If this guy can keep a pace like this, he can really challenge SLR Quattro next season in Tier 1, as we see him now come round the turn 6-7 hairpin. And now heading down towards Sector 2, one of the trickiest sections on the track. And Jinx has absolutely nailed it there, no lifting whatsoever. And as he comes to the end of his Sector 2, he's almost 2 tenths up here. Hopefully doesn't get held up in the stadium section here now. It's Jinx to the end of his lap now. He comes through the stadium section and now to the final corner. Adgedox has retired his car in the pits, and Jinx is going to come round the final corner, and he's going to improve by almost 3 tenths, going to the 1:15.6, and that right there is an incredible lap. CES Eric, another driver on a lap at the moment. I think he's actually abandoned that. He's going to go again. He's going to get ready to go again. Just waiting for drivers to finish up. I think VTR Cunha is also in a bit of a rush to get going. We'll see. I think that back 2 is on a lap. I think it is. The rest of the guys are only on out laps, and I think they may just barely make the flag. We'll see who does and who doesn't. It's yellow flags here in the pit lane. So 5 seconds left, and the Haas has just made a time there, and that's the end of qualifying for back 2 because he's invalidated. Darva is behind him, and he's only barely up in his time, and it's going to be nowhere near close enough to back 2 if he wants to get close to that, or nowhere near close enough to Hayden if he wants to get close into that top 13. He seems to be struggling through Sector 3 as Darva now comes round the final corner, rides the curb, and has invalidated his time. Skifan has retired there in Sector 2, and Apatish Hund is now going to head to the line. Is he going to improve? He isn't. Not much drivers seem to be improving at the moment. Rayan has improved. He's gone second fastest. Paolo has invalidated, and behind him is Douglas. Has Douglas improved by much? He's going to come to the line now. He's going to go into P6. Jackie Gabbana, has he improved? He has improved enough to go ahead of VTR Cunha, who's going to come to the line now. He's going to improve by a lot. Go ahead of Darva and VTR Cunha. Next is Quattro. He's invalidated. It's only going to be a P9 star for the championship leader. Same with CES Eric. JRR is last across the line, and oh no, Hayden is, and Hayden has jumped VTR Cunha and has gone, or stayed 13th fastest. JRR gained a lot, but is still a 10th off SJR. Great performance there from what is a current Tier 3 driver. But it's Jinx 1-2-3 on pole position, with Rayan alongside, SJR quite close behind. He's got pole by an absolute mile. JRR in P4, and then you have Adgedox in P5, Douglas P6, Paolo in 7th, Eric in 8th. SLR Quattro only starts in 9th. The championship leader has a mighty job to do. Skifan and Apatish Hund, Alfa Romeo 10-11. Back 2, Spawn you go in 12th, Hayden in 13th, Cunha in 14th, Darva 15th, Jackie Gabbana 16th, 2 Magnus 17th, and Quattro 18th. Both of them yet to set a time. Quite a hectic qualifying. We'll see what happens. So as we get underway now for the formation lap, we'll get our telemetry, we'll get everything up, and crucially the tyres. Now, SJR could be in prime position here. He has gone for the medium tyres, and obviously notoriously in Mexico it's very, very hard how high up in altitude the track is. It's very hard to heat the tyres. That's a great view there of all the people warming up their tyres there, but it's really hard to heat up the tyres in Mexico, and it's going to be quite hard for the hard runners. Now JRR, Rayan, Jinx, Paolo, Skifan, and then from a Patish Hund all the way down to Magnus, or back two all the way down to Magnus, have gone with the hards. The rest on the mediums. It's primarily hard tyres, but I don't know if that is going to be the better strategy. It's going to be an interesting one, and there's high chance that it could be a two-stop as well. Oh, and that's Rayan, who's gone off and hit the barriers there on his formation lap. Luckily he'll just be ghosted out of the way. Oh, and he's made, I think that's SLR Quattro spin, or I think everyone is spinning here. And both Alfa Romeos have been disqualified. Absolute chaos here on the formation lap. People trying to get those tyres heated. I think Jinx had a spin, Rayan's gone off again. And it's going to be SJR, who may think he's on pole here coming around the final corner. So we'll see now. As the lights are about to go out. So here we go to 5 red lights for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go, and JRR's anti-stalled off the line. He's not got the best start whatsoever, and it looks like SJR has got an absolutely flying start. He's already alongside, and can the camera switch? He's ahead of Jinx, and he's ahead of Rayan too, and the dream start for SJR as predicted. He's up into the lead. Jinx is going to try and stay with him. He almost cuts the track, rides over the curb, somehow keeps the lead as VTR Cunha gets a penalty for corner cutting. As look at SJR, he's coming back at Jinx again. He's going to go for it now, down into turn 4. SJR late in the brakes. Is he going to get it done? Jinx is going to try stay side by side. He forces him just a little bit wide, but they're still side by side, and SJR now finally somewhat ahead of Jinx into the first few corners here. What a perfect start, as Adstock seems to have got Rayan too. Rayan still battling with Adstocks. They spin. Oh, and Rayan's out. Rayan's off, and he's tagged someone, and he's almost brought Douglas with him, but luckily everyone survives and everyone's able to ghost through him. But it's been an absolute chaotic start to the Mexican Grand Prix here, as a Patish Hund goes down the inside on Eric Paolo and almost caused the collision with Hayden behind. So I'm looking here. Oh, I think Hayden is really aggressive there, and he's got through and past a Patish Hund. It's a mighty scrap between these two, as JRR has been disqualified all the way back there in Sector 2. I think he may be having trouble with his setup, and he may have been disqualified for beaching or something like that. Back 2 is in for an early pit stop. He must have got damage. We'll switch back to the leaders, because SJR has got a phenomenal start, and his teammate doing good for the constructors here. He's up in the P3. He's got ahead of Adstock, and he's going to hopefully, on the medium tyres as well, start pressuring Jinx. But I've showed you that those hard tyres are almost impossible to heat up, and because of that, you've seen Jinx fall off a little bit. You've seen Rayan fall all the way to 16th, and if I look here, if you just even turn the detail all the way to position change here, you can see Quattro's lost 1, Was he on the hards? Or I think he's on the mediums and he's lost one, yeah. So he's not had a dream start. But Rayan's lost a load. Skifan's lost a load. Back 2 has lost many. And most of the guys on the hards have suffered. As Skifan, oh no, that's Darva. That's Darva who's spun off there into sector 2. And with a bit of a damaged end plate as well. But as we watch, because Jinx has got a little bit closer to SJR here. And Paolo is also right on the back of Douglas. He wants to get this move done and over with nice and quick. We'll see now as, oh, Douglas may have got damage. He's into the pit lane. And Paolo has got himself up into P5. And behind him is a Patish Hund, who on the medium tyre should show a good bit of pace as well. You want to keep an eye on all this battling now at the back too then, because Quattro is right on the back of Quattro, and Quattro really isn't getting the right run of things here. And with a good move here possibly from Quattro, it could knock Quattro out of the points. Oh, and Quattro's been knocked off there by Jackie Gabbana, gets the elbows out, and Quattro's down to 10th, and with Cunho on the back of him, Cunho burning all of his ERS, he has none left already, and it looks like Cunho is up in the 10th. So now Quattro, the championship leader, his tyres seem to be struggling all over the place, is now sitting in 11th. And look at this, Quattro down the inside of Jackie Gabbana and has taken P8 off him. This battle here for these guys are all going well. Jackie Gabbana almost has to cut the corner there. He's forced Cunho really wide there, and he's possibly almost caused a collision. Cunho comes back on just ahead of Quattro, and Skifan is just load of side-by-side battling here. But it seems like Quattro has done well to get by Jackie, and Jackie seems to be causing all the problems here. And the tier 3 driver the tier 2 driver should really be doing a lot better. And he has Cunho on the back of him now, and with the added help of DRS now, it should make it a lot more interesting. Here we go, as he's now on one of the longest straights on the calendar that is actually straight. We're not talking about Baku now, that's like, it says it's straight, but there's loads of little small turns in it. But Cunho now all on the way now down into turn 1. Is he going to launch one? He's going to just sit back. So crucially, the headlines at the moment, with 32 laps to go anyway, is championship leader outside of the points, and could be further outside of the points, because Skifan is a lot closer to him than he is closer to Cunho, and in the slipstream could possibly get through, and luckily manages just to slow it down in time. Jackie Gabbana, you can see here the Red Bull is struggling not only on hard tyres but struggling in this section of the track. It's CES Eric, he's gone off, the Aston Martin's off. Oh, and the lag there with the ghosting, and he's lagged and spun off again, and Quattro has picked up a 3-second time penalty, so not as a dream start as Aston Martin needed. But I'll switch back to the front here, because look who's gaining just a little bit more than he was. SJR is burning that little bit of ERS. Jinx is going to have the DRS, but look how far away SJR is. He's shown his experience, he's shown his better experience in the league, and he is going to hopefully maintain this lead a little bit more. Obviously won in Portimao, hope to win today. Rayan, he's really making places back up after spinning on lap 1. He's right on the back of Skifan here, and here's for the points now, as Rayan looks to seem to go round the outside, and he has got it done. Skifan, oh, is going to try and just stick a wheel on the inside there. He's put off, and that I think is going to open the door possibly now for SLR. Quattro is now down in 12th. I think he may have had a bit of trouble, may have had maybe even a spin himself. Has lost a lot of time to the drivers ahead. So Quattro is on the back of Skifan, and Rayan's going to hopefully get on the back of Cunho, and Cunho still desperately trying to get past Jackie. It's the battle of the no ERS between these two, and luckily Cunho has the added bonus of DRS, and he's going to gain, he's going to gain, but he's not going to gain enough on the run down into turn 12, and it's still, yeah, I knew it was some sort of setup issue. JRR were out because of the clutch, unfortunately. So VTR Cunho is now right on the back of Jackie Gabbana, and I think more than likely he's going to have enough straight line speed to get this move done. Both of them have no ERS, but luckily Cunho, for him, he has some DRS. Jackie Gabbana is going to try and defend the position, but Cunho is going to go to the outside here. Cunio late on the brakes, round the outside. He's up in the P8. A very good move indeed. Jackie Cabana may try and fight back, but he's going to have to worry because he's going to have Rayan on his tail very, very soon. As Eric has managed there in a lovely move to get by SLR, Quattro and Skifan. Quattro's having a real battle at the back here, and he's probably not going to be enjoying it much because losing 25 points to SJR could really just spice up this championship a little bit more going into the final 4 rounds. And at the moment, being chased by Skifan as well, it could be a very, very nervy race for the AlphaTauri driver. We'll see now. Hayden is battling with Apatishun and has got through. And Quattro, who not only feels like only a few laps ago got by Jackie Cabana, is also now right in the back of this battle. He's shown that he has real pace. And we'll see what pace he has. Look at this 3-way battle here for P5. All of them with penalties. One having 5 second, no, that's Cunio. All having 3-second penalties, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of penalties picked up at this race. And it looks like Hayden may get the better run at this stage. Something's happened there at the back. Is that SLR Quattro again? I think it is, because Jackie Cabana has lost. I think that's Apatishun has lost places there. Apatishun has spun here down at turn 6. That's definitely not what he wanted in his little battle for P5 there. This race is absolutely chaotic. I don't know how there hasn't been a safety car yet, but there could be one here. Who's that resetting the track? That's Quattro. He's going to pick up a penalty for that. As he's also fallen out of that little battle, and Hayden has managed to successfully succeed in it. So, I think this race is just so hectic on how much people are battling for positions here, because I think there's, like, look how close everyone is between each other. Like, 2 Magnus at the back here, who I think made an early pit stop. No, he hadn't, but like, 2 Magnus here. He's only 24 seconds off the leader, which you may think is a lot in 8 laps, but to be fair, like, that is not much, considering like how little people have lost a lot of time and how much they've managed to catch up. And the little battle from Jinx and SJR means that they couldn't get too far ahead. Jinx there, wow, that was almost absolutely heartbreak for him there on lap 8. He is coming out of the final little turn there at sector 2. He's almost absolutely killed himself, and luckily he saved the car, and unluckily he has got further and further away from SJR, and although he probably will pick up DRS anyway, yes he has, it's not going to really be enough. But this battle continues here, and VTR Cunio has done a good job in making up places. So far on for driver of the day, could be him, or maybe even Hayden or Quattro. He is making up places, and with DRS now but very little ERS, he could possibly think of lining up a move. Skifan, he's going to get by Quattro into turn 1. He gets in front, and the battle for the lead seems to be kind of evening out now. And Jinx obviously got those tyres fired up there, and he's managed just to stay within SJR, but he doesn't seem to be as smooth in this second sector as SJR. SJR seems to be getting the best. Jinx has very, very little ERS as well compared to SJR, and he really is showing his tier 1 experience here, with being obviously already a race winner. Oh, well, that's just horrible timing, because I've just commented on his experience, and he has just lost a bit of the car coming out of the stadium section there. I'm sure they got a great watch of that, and SJR has now dropped all the way down to P3, but he's back up to P2 now. And luckily for Jinx, he's up into the lead, but SJR is not liking the look of that, and he can see that Jinx is derating, which is possibly good for him, because when he gets out in front, he's going to know that as well. So now on the second straight and on the run down into turn 4, SJR gets DRS activated. He's going to head down towards turn 4. Here he goes now. Is he going to send one down the inside? Maybe another driver would, but he's opted not to. Now there's absolute carnage down here at turn 1. Look at this. People ghosting through everyone. I think that's CES gone wide. Everyone all over the place. And it's somehow ended up, I think Skifan is in the lead of it, from Quattro, Cunho, a Patish Hund. Now CES is got by a Patish Hund, but a Patish Hund all over the back of him. And look at Quattro trying to also get involved, and the Patish Hund is all over the place there as well, and Quattro hitting into everyone. It's been an absolutely chaotic start, and if I was Quattro, I'd pit early, I'd get into a bit of clean air, and I would just absolutely fire away from these guys, because it's just not helping. Because it's not his fault that people are battling dirty. It's almost impossible for people to battle 3 wide in this track, and almost everyone is doing that. And look at this, it's Cunho getting by Quattro already now, and he's going to hope to maybe get by Skifan. And as we missed there, heading down into turn 1, SJR has got himself back up into the lead of the race. And both, now he lost a lot of ERS doing that, and Jinx has actually been put off a little bit, and he could drop all the way down to P3, because here goes Ajdox, and Ajdox is going to possibly try and do one round the outside. He's not, but he's going to do enough to help out his friend SJR. And the gap between those guys are really starting to pull away now, because the guys back here are battling almost too much. And look at a Patish Hund on the back of Quattro, and Quattro still out of the points here now with... Oh, I know, and a Patish Hund has almost hit him here. He has made slight contact with him. Almost spun both of them, really trying to test the limits of each other. And Quattro must be banging his steering wheel here, because you just can't quite see him to get a break and get away from the Alfa Romeo. We'll see now. We watch Cunho gain on Skifan. Skifan just doing his best to stay where he is at the moment. And we see Rayan there picking up a penalty. That's his first 3-second time penalty, and there is a lot of 3-second penalties in this race. As we watch as SJR starts to pull away a little bit more, we're now entering the second third of this race. Ajdox is gaining, not quite gaining enough, and it's going to remain just a little bit further back. So we'll keep an eye on this battle for the leaders for you guys to watch. I'm going to have to quickly just drop out for 5 minutes, and I will be back. So I've come back, and I've come back just in time here for the pit stop period. It seems like Ajdox has come into the pit lane, hoping to get a bit of an undercut on the two guys. I think most people have penalties too. Magnus seems to be struggling, the guys at the back the same. But what I'm looking at the moment is I want to keep an eye on the stops, who is in and who doesn't come in. It's looking like SJR is in, and obviously Jinx will stay out a little bit longer. Jinx wants to take these at least till lap 20 or 22 before he can put on the mediums. That is the predicted pit window for the hard tyres. And we'll see now who else comes in. Hayden doesn't, or Chad doesn't. Skifan doesn't. Ajdox seems to be getting quite close to him. Switch back just to the tyres for now because you can get a good look at that. So here comes Ajdox, who's going to come to the line now. He's going to go for it now, round the outside. It's looking like he's going to get the move done. He is going to get the move done. He's up in the P6, and he's only a second off SJR. He gets a bit closer now to SJR, and it could be a lot better than that. No, I thought that was Quattro. It's Darva. He's not had the dream debut here, obviously on 13 lap softs. Definitely seems to be struggling. As CES Eric and SLR Quattro go battling here, both of them on fresh tyres. Quattro's tyres just not heated up at all. Those hards definitely not feeling it at the moment. And as we watch, it's looking like CES Eric will come out on top, and Quattro again, he's out of the points and struggling, but he's not as out of the points as he was previously, as that is Darva, I think, in the pit lane. He's in the pits there now, and is he going to be our second retirement of this race now with the halfway point now just hit? It's looking like he's going to continue on. He's been lapped now, and Ajdox has just picked up the fastest lap, and he's gaining himself on SJR. Both of them have around the same ERS. None of them are using it here, but Ajdox may just have a little look. Oh, how close was that to rear end in the back of the Aston Martin? We'll see now, because Ajdox is going to have another chance now on the run down into turn 4. Keep an eye, William, on that Arsenal game. I want to know if it's still going to be 0-0. So at the moment it's looking like SJR is going to get a good undercut on Jinx, but Jinx is going to be on the mediums when he comes out of the pits, and could possibly lead to a much better end to the race for him. We'll see now. Ajdox is going to have another chance on SJR. He's definitely gained a lot more than he did last time, and he's going to go for it. He's going to go late on the brakes now into turn 1. SJR is going to try and stick with him, but Ajdox has taken the place. He's taken the lead. Darva has called quits, and he is their second retirement from the race. It's great to see 16 drivers still racing here, all trying to take home some points today for either the teams they're reserving in or the teams they are racing for, as Ajdox now takes the position off SJR and possibly takes what could be the lead of the race. Only a 3-second penalty means that anything is possible with what can happen sometimes with SJR and Jinx out top. And unfortunately we're watching Darva come out of the pits and slowing down back to an awful lot. Jinx is into the pits on lap 20 as predicted, and we'll keep an eye on his pit stop, because I'm guessing, well, it's going to be Paolo who's going to continue on, and he's going to take a provisional lead of the race, and Rayan is going to continue on with him. So a bit of a when will the Williams pit, and it's looking like Jinx has got a good bit of a gap here now. The two guys battling with him are going to overtake him, but crucially he is out ahead of Skifan, and SJR just in the background there, you can see he's got by Ajdok. So now Jinx pretty much less than a second behind these two, no penalties and fresher tyres. This is going to be an interesting end, but obviously colder tyres, because look who's on the back of him, Skifan 999. Once a tier 2 driver battling here with the lead of the lead drivers, and at the moment I think just a little bit too far away, and with 19 lap old tyres it's not going to quite help his little battle with these guys out in front. I'm watching because Quattro is getting a lot closer to CES Eric, and he's going to take what is going to be P10 on the road, probably a lot more after pit stops. He's going to go around the outside in the turn 4, and SLR Quattro is going to take P10 off the Aston Martin. So it's been an interesting race. If I come back, it's definitely gotten a lot cleaner anyway, the more it's gone on, and I think people are trying to just rustle back up as well after the new year, so there will be a lot of slack as far as penalties go for this race, but obviously we will nail them down for what is our home race next season, or next week. You better tune in for that one. It's the Silverstone Grand Prix. That always brings drama. It always brings a lot of great battles as well, just like what we're watching here in Mexico, as Ajdok starts to gain on SJR just a little bit more, but yet again it's a little bit too far back. Look who's behind both of them. It is Jinx. 1, 2, 3. He is going to hopefully for himself get past and up into the lead of the race. He's going to have to get by a very frustrating McLaren before he does that. Ajdok's, what a race he's had. He stepped in for McLaren today, and Oven Curry and Kofi will probably be partying with him after this race on how good of a job he's doing. And their other teammate too, Magnus, well, definitely probably not a race to remember, but he's preparing himself obviously for the big tier 3 race. It's going to be his first race back after his disqualification in France and his race ban going into Netherlands. He's going to hope himself that he can really have a better second half of the season than what he did in the first. Looking at tier 2, probably a lot more interesting than tier 1. SJRR, who may have been a very good qualifying driver, is not quite the same when it comes to tier 2, because he hasn't quite been as fast and scary as he normally is. Only a 4-point lead from the Haas driver of Pintita, and he probably would have been needed today. Hayden is the only driver at the moment for Haas. SLR Quattro is only in P9 at the moment. When Jackie Gabbana eventually pits, it's probably going to be P8, not definitely the race he would have wanted. But as far as the tier 2 championship goes, obviously we have 3 tiers now. We have, obviously this is the tier 1, always will be the tier 1. We'll be moving this to Saturdays at 8 PM. Tier 2 is going currently is actually called a reserve tier, but we're going to call what is the current tier 3, consisting of JRR, Pintita, Essence Acid, back to iMarshy. Those guys are going to be what are in called tier 3 and will be tier 3 next season. They'll continue to race on Wednesdays at 8 PM, and they'll still be called tier 2 until the end of the season. And then finally we have our reserve tier 2 at the moment, and that is going to be tier 2 next year is going to be kind of a mix of, oh look at that, Ajdok's down the inside, takes the lead of the race. I was having a bit of a debrief on the plans for next season, and Ajdok's has ruined that there. He's gone down the inside and he needs 3 seconds now to get ahead of SJR and into the lead of the race. Now this has opened the doors a lot now for Jinx, because now he only has to get by 1 car, and that is SJR. And then 13 more laps to defend and he has his first RSL race win. 2 drivers here could go for an RSL first race win. The other is SJR, and that wouldn't be a bad race win either. It's not been the dream debut for his other teammate in CES Eric. He is only going to be in P16. So as I was saying, the Tier 2, while is a current reserve tier that's racing on Saturdays for new drivers that can't really get a seat because we're all filled up, as Quattro has retired, and he is retired on track. Now that is another thing, and that is going to lead to a race ban, unfortunately. For him, and back two has spun, and he's hit the wall in a certain period, and that is going to be a safety car. Now 12 laps to go. Jackie Gabbana's definitely going to be one of the most excited ones out of that safety car being brought out, but it's very interesting now to see what the hard runners are going to do. VTR Cuneo stays out. Douglas is going to come in possibly now for the soft tyres. To Magnus now himself, he's also going to come in. Eric only just pitted, so I'm sure he won't mind staying out a little bit longer. But that is very interesting. Back two spins out, and it's a safety car here for the last remaining laps of this race. So Jinx has stayed out, and Ajdox's SJRs came into the pits. And crucially, with SJR coming into the pits, he has got out ahead of Hayden, but he's came out behind Rayan. Now, that's very interesting now, because Jinx has track position and still has fresh tyres. It's going to be a really interesting end to this race, that is just to say the least. SLR Quattro also came into the pits. He's going to stay behind Jackie Gabbana. Jinx is disconnected there for the moment. I'll get him back into the session. I'm sure he doesn't want to miss this opportunity to get something like that onto the TikTok that he so desperately likes to advertise. I'd like to know the score in the match. William, has it changed? Jinx is back under control. So looking at everyone else, they all seem to be in control of their car. And when Magnus, Eric and Douglas catch up, we have our only safety car this race, and it's been a very impressive season, I have to say, from everyone racing in this. Other than there probably would have been about 50 safety cars in Monaco. As far as the season goes, I think this is our second safety car of the season, and that's just absolutely astonishing. like I have to give a huge round of applause to the drivers, because although it may be scrappy at times and there may be a lot of like incidents as far as reports, as far as crashes, as far as stupid major incidents, there hasn't been many, and I have to give a lot of credit for that, because the guys there in Tier 1, and I'm hoping for an even better group of lads in Tier 1 next year, it continues, and even with better racing. We'll have to see now what kind of drivers we get for the new Saturday Tier 1, hopefully a very competitive Tier 2 as well, and then make the Tier 3 kind of evened out as well. It's going to be a very interesting season. We're going to have a bit of a break until we head to what is an unknown track, and I think it is going to be confirmed. It is we're going back to the old 12 race calendar to end off the season. It'll be a bit of a break now after this season. There'll be a good bit of a break, because we're going to have to do a lot of practice races to practice on pace and see which drivers can drive in which tiers, and we'll see what happens. At the moment, it's Jinx 123 who's probably going to get going at the end of this lap, hopefully lead away his first safety car in RSL, and see if he can see off another 8 or so laps of the cars behind who may be on quicker tyres, and win his first Grand Prix. Hayden is into the pits early. He has retired. He has to go or something like that. I don't know why else he would retire. But Jinx is away, and Alstox has got a good breakaway, and he's possibly maybe going to go down the inside, get a bit of a move done here now. The Williams driver is going to try and stick it. Rayan is going to hope for his second podium of the season. He's got by Alstox, and Jinx is getting a good bit of a gap, and someone spun out. It's SLR Quattro. It's SLR Quattro, the AlphaTauri driver, has had a nightmare of a race return to the new year. New year and a whole different race for AlphaTauri, and SLR Quattro has dropped out of the points yet again, and has a lot of places to make up. As we watch now, everyone seems to kind of be racing at a fairly standard distance. And that is SLR Quattro again, who has spun out. And I think that is the end of his Grand Prix. And it's definitely going to have to be a race to forget. Quattro is into the pits and has retired from the race, so that is the end of Quattro, and it's his first DNF of the season. We still have 12 runners though. It's going to be an interesting end to this Grand Prix. Unfortunately, Hayden, we couldn't see the end of his race. He seemed to be doing very well. Here's a battle here, and it's Skifan who's got the worst of it. Eric making up places there on the soft tyres, and Skifan has lost the most from it, and with 6 seconds of penalties as well, means he's going to have to drop a little bit further back than he would have liked. DRS is enabled, and it looks like Ajdox has got back in the slipstream of Rayan yet again. Both of them battling. We'll see now on the run down into turn 1 who's going to be latest on the brakes. It looks like Rayan has kept the position, but Ajdox has drove a fine race today, and he will hope that he gets at least a podium place to say for that, as he is coming up now to turn 4. He's kept it on track. It seems to be going okay for now. Has picked up another penalty that could be crucial to what the positions play out towards the end. Ski Fans also picked up a penalty. He's dropped down into last place, and Ajdox is going to try and get further ahead of Rayan, and with Rayan kind of trying to defend off the McLaren here, it is golden in the eyes of Jinx in ahead, and the Ferrari driver looks like he's going to be able to win his first race in RSL. Look at this here. It's going to be a three-way battle here into turn 1 on who takes the P2, and Rayan almost parks his car through turn 1 and trying to do it. Luckily no damage whatsoever, as here goes Ajdox now. He has DRS available now. He's going to breeze by the Williams driver, and he is going to take back what is the position, although Rayan is going to try and battle back, but you can see Ajdox here, he's not giving up. He's forced Rayan pretty much off the track here as they try to still battle. Rayan's going to get a little bit of a look there, but at the moment still stays in P3 and behind Jinx, but ahead crucially of Rayan. And SJR is going to do everything he can just to at least take home 18 points closer to SLR Quattro heading into Britain next week. We will have to see now with a few laps to go. Jinx is going to start the 5th last lap of this race now. He's drove flawlessly today. A few ifs and buts with a few little kind of snaps of oversteer that looked like it could go absolutely any which way, but luckily stays all good. Ooh, and Ajdox here has gained a lot closer here now to Jinx, and may put him under a little bit more pressure here for the final 3 races, as those tyres seem to be doing a lot better than Jinx's. And we can see now what the McLaren will do, as we see the sun is starting to come out here in Mexico, and maybe it's starting to brighten up that bright orange car of the McLaren, and maybe can he get 3 seconds ahead of Jinx. The pressure truly is on, but it looks like SJR, he's not going to be taking home any race win here today. He will at least take home a P3. Jinx has picked up a penalty. Oh, the pressure was on. And now it's all to play for here in Mexico. Because Ajdux is now in the lead of the race. No matter what happens towards the end. Douglas has left the session. I think he may have disconnected, or he may just have enough. There's only a few laps left anyway. He'll be finishing last. But it's looking like Ajdux, who's got a second now ahead, has absolutely breezed away there in a bit of clean air, and it looked like it was going to be Ferrari's first win since China of season 2. And unfortunately, as he's swarmed now by Rayan, Jinx is now overtaken by the Williams driver. It's going from bad to very much worse because they're all gone off. Rayan, Jinx and SJR all gone off there, and the doors are opening up for Paolo and CES, and this time instead of SJR and Rayan, it's going to be Paolo and Eric. The other two Aston Martin and Williams drivers come through to save the day, at least for the team. But it's heartbreak for Ferrari. Lucas Paul's probably watching this in the grandstands going, how on earth have I been race banned out of this race? Possibly a race where he could have got involved in, but unfortunately for him, it's only going to be what looks to be P5 for Jinx, as he slowly falls away with his collision with Rayan, his collision with SJR. And Ajdux, who looked like he wouldn't be racing much at all this season, I'm sure he is delighted on how much he's racing this season, as he starts the penultimate lap of this race. And then after that, it is Paolo, who again, he's been unlucky at times this season, but yet again is going to look to be back on the podium for another time this season. If I look and keep count, he's currently P5. He was only on the podium in Monaco, and it looks like he's going to be on the podium here today. And Rayan seemed to have got back by Eric, but Eric, obviously with the soft tyres and also without the penalty, means that he should be able to keep P3 later on. We'll see how that plans out. We don't need to really worry about tyres at the moment. All about the penalties towards the end of this race. To Magnus, well, the 24 seconds of penalties didn't help, but he has dropped down to last place anyway. So Jinx is going to hope to at least get by Eric and bring home a Ferrari podium. Hasn't been a Ferrari podium since Lucas Paul in Singapore, and he's going to hope to possibly bring home another. And he think he is, because something's happened to Paolo there. I've missed him. He's no front wing. What's happened there? Oh my days, everything's lighting up here in the final race of this race. Final laps of this race. And the chance of SJR possibly getting his first, getting a huge gap in the championship to Quattro. Quattro's probably looking at this thinking, SJR has absolutely fumbled this race. A potential win, a potential even podium. Looks like it's going to be neither. So Jinx looks like he'll be on the podium anyway, if he stays behind Eric. But we'll keep an eye also on the McLaren out in front, because it's looking like for the first time, I think ever, a McLaren driver, oh no, for the first time actually since FaZe McBot in season 2. Oh no, I must be tripping. Alright, first time since Psych in what race would it have been? It probably would have been, Jesus, a long time since Psych has won a race. It's been Psych in the United Kingdom of last year that McLaren is going to win a race. We won't focus on penalties for now, because the person in the spotlight at the moment is Ajdux. He is only reserving today, but he is definitely putting in a mighty drive for McLaren. Here he is, he's coming through the stadium section now. It's absolute delight for McLaren. Ajdux comes round the final corner and wins the Mexican Grand Prix. What a race. It's going to be Rayan to finish in second, but CES will jump him, so will Jinx, so will SJR. It's a debut podium for CES Eric, and Jinx is back on the podium for Ferrari since Singapore, and is back on the podium since Monaco. Rayan will pick up P5, and Paolo, heartbreak at the end. I don't even know what happened to him, I'll have to look back, but he will only get P6 along with Rayan. Apatish Hund next after that. Then I think it was Skifan, his teammate, and then I think it was Jackie Gabbana And finally then, don't know who the last one was actually, but we'll have a look now. Rayan has already got out of there. That last penalty he picked up is absolutely crucial at the end, but look at that. It's the first time since Psych that a McLaren is going to step on the top step of the podium, because it is Ajdok's for the first time in RSL wins a Grand Prix, one of the most special races of the season, and we knew there could be a special winner, and that indeed is a special winner. The McLaren fans are happy. I'm sure Ajdok's is smiling in his race seat as well, as the champagne is out here in Mexico. It's McLaren who are on top once again. Wow, what a crazy end to this race. Probably one of the best of all time, and I would love to see all of this up on the TikTok. But Ajdok's wins the race from CES Eric. Jinx in P3, SJR P4, Rayan P5, Eric's Paolo P6, Apatishun 7th, Cunyo in 8th, Jackie Gabbana finishes in 9th with Douglas in 10th, taking home the last points position. Skifan 11th, 2 Magnus 12th, and the rest are all DNFs. SLR Quattro, crucially one of them, Hayden 14th, back to 15th, Quattro 16th, Darva 17th, and JR 18th. I hope you enjoyed this race. I thought it was probably one of the best races of the season, and well, I think everything shows there on why it was, as Ajdok's wins his first race in RSL history. This has been RSL, and we will see you on Wednesday for Tier 2. Good night.